is the following. This past February, all of you participated in the second international meeting of theoretical publications of left parties and movements in Havana, Cuba. Can you talk about that event, what the goal was, and what the main themes of discussion were?
Yeah, absolutely. So we were actually invited to participate as Hood Communists by our comrades at ECAP, the Cuban Institute for Friendship with the People, as well as the Cuban Communist Party. It was the first time that we had represented Hood Communists in an international space like that. So it was like a big step for us. It was quite an honor. And essentially, it was the second gathering of its kind. The first happened last year in 2023, and it was primarily attended by delegates representing revolutionary socialist and anti-imperialist parties and organizations across the world. So we met folks from Ireland who were hilarious, people from China, people from Russia, folks from Zimbabwe, ZANU-PF, Panama, Dominican Republic. So people from all over the world who came together in that space to develop a collective strategy for how to use our platforms to engage the struggle against imperialism, recognizing that mainstream news media, mainstream news platforms are controlled by the enemy, controlled by the ruling class, recognizing that they have a far greater reach than our individual organizational outlets. We recognize a need for coordination across borders, across political tendencies, to be able to combat like the massive reach of the enemy. And so that was really the focus of the conference, across political tendencies, across borders, across organizations, developing a collective and coherent strategy for combating imperialist propaganda, but also like proactively sharing our revolutionary socialist and anti-imperialist narrative. Lots of discussion about combating sectarianism and dogmatism, and also a big, big focus on solidarity with the Palestinian national liberation struggle.
Hmm. Erica or Musa, do you have anything to add to that?
I think Onya did a wonderful job of summarizing it. Just, you know, one personal, I guess, reflection that all of us share or have talked about is especially in this current political context of the genocide as well as the liberation war being waged by the Palestinian resistance and the blockade in Cuba. It was wonderful to be in a room of all of these media workers and organizers from around the world who all agreed that imperialism is the primary objective and that we were all struggling against imperialism in all of our different localities. It wasn't like what we often have to do in the US among the left, where we have to even get to the point of all being united around being anti-imperialist. Because we arrived understanding anti-imperialism as a core kind of foundational principle of this meeting, we were able to move in a lot of unity and to really discuss the heart of the matter.
Was just one of the examples of it. But also to Moose's point, we were able to be, in comradeship and solidarity with the Red. We broke bread with them. Through my program, Liberation Through Reading, was able to give books in the La Lisa neighborhood, where the Red is. A few of the members are. So it was a really great experience for myself, to be able to be amongst Afro-Cubans in one aspect, but then also be in an environment, to Musa's point, where we all were already united under the understanding of anti-imperialism and the struggle against a primary contradiction of imperialism. And so just being in that kind of atmosphere where the discussions and the speeches were riveting, but with the emphasis on unity, a strong emphasis on unity. And yeah, I deeply, deeply enriching experiences in Cuba, I would say.
Beautiful. Anya?
Yeah, definitely echo, especially the reflections about the delegation and the delegation to build with the Red Royale, hearing about like the grassroots organizing Africans are doing in Cuba in coordination with the revolution, which is very, very different from how the African experience in Cuba is discussed in the United States. These were Africans who very clearly upheld, supported the Cuban Revolution and understood their work within that context. But the other thing about the conference, to what Erica just spoke about, like the clarity and discipline with which the Cuban comrades like help develop and hold that space was really inspirational for me. I have typically traveled to Cuba with big delegations. The Venceremos Brigade, we bring 75 to 100 to over 100 people to Cuba every year. And it's intentionally a very big tent because that is what the Cuban comrades ask of us, to bring as many people to Cuba as possible, all different political tendencies. And the